Is it fun for you guys, referring to private investigators, to spend hours to creep on somebody just to find out things anyone can find on Google? Do you feel proud? This is a real comment posted as a question in response to one of our prior videos. Let's start with some statistics. Google has placed in its index an estimated 35 trillion web pages across the internet worldwide. While this is an amazing statistic, believe it or not, 35 trillion is barely the tip of the iceberg. Google's index represents only an estimated 4% of the information that exists on the internet. This is not a typo or a misprint. The actual information that exists on the web is impossible to know, but it's estimated to be 500 times what is currently available through Google. Hard to believe, but true. So based on this data, if you only conducted a Google search on your subject, this could cause you to miss 96% of the information that is out there on the web. Advanced searching on Google using Boolean search techniques is a good starting point, but you should also check Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, and other search engines, as Google will often show you information based on your location, profile, and search history, not necessarily the best results for an investigation. Let's start by defining the term creep on somebody. In my opinion, there's physical creeping, which I would call surveillance. There is also online creeping, which would involve developing the online footprint of your subject and can include everything from posts and comments on social media to public records like court cases. In almost all cases, the information and evidence obtained through conducting hours and hours of physical surveillance is not something that can be developed through a simple Google search. Surveillance efforts typically uncover activity patterns, the physical condition or apparent injuries of your subject, interactions with people, and where someone might be working. Online creeping, or should I say open source intelligence gathering, can develop a great deal of information on a subject. You might be able to develop alias names, address history, news stories, social media profiles, business ownership, and court records involving your subject that might point you in the direction of a criminal case, as an example. A Google search will be effective, assuming a couple of things. First, that your subject is active on social media. Second, that your subject lives or works in states and counties that serve up court records publicly, which allow for search engines to grab and report them. Florida is a good example of a state with fairly open access to public records. In many states and counties throughout the US, public records are not available via Google search. Instead, a website that requires a username and password along with search credits is required to conduct searches on your subject. These types of websites are referred to as the deep web. There are a ton of people search and data aggregation sites out there that claim to develop a ton of verified information. My experience is that the basic features of these sites are free. They tease you with potential records, but if you want the details, you must pay a fee. And even then, these types of sites are not comprehensive in nature and will not pull details from court records required to verify that the case pertains to your subject. Also, keep in mind that these sites will not be able to pull back court records from password-protected pay sites like the Los Angeles County Superior Court, which charges a $5 access fee per search, or the New York Office of Court Administration, which charges $98 to search criminal records statewide. This is my take on why creeping on somebody via Google is not the end-all be-all for conducting investigations. Another major problem in relying on a Google search is that as a licensed private investigator, you should not draft a report based on records and information you found on Google. You must go a step further and verify your findings by pulling or getting copies of source documents like criminal records, deeds of trust, court records, and DMV records. If I'm called to testify in deposition or at trial, and I'm asked how I came to learn of some piece of information during my investigation, I can't say Google. I must cite sources, records, and show my process to confirm the information that I found was accurate. Online creeping sounds fun and easy, but it won't get you admissible evidence you can present to a court or a client. It takes a little bit more.